All right, y'all. So the Butcher is back with the fourth installment of his Tana Talk series. This is the third studio album from Benny and the follow-up to his Tana Talk 3 album that dropped in 2018. It is a project that many Griselda fans will regard as a modern day classic. But this Tana Talk 4 has been highly anticipated for some time. The level of anticipation was about the same for Conway's God Don't Make Mistakes album that just dropped. So this new Tana Talk 4 project represents a return to form for Benny. Not that he veered too far off stylistically from the sound that he came in the game with, but some hardcore Griselda fans and boom bap aficionados didn't love the glossier and bigger production found on projects like The Burden of Proof and Plugs I Met 2. They wanted another Tana Talk album from Benny filled with the dusty, gritty, and dark boom bap production that defined the Griselda sound. So Benny, being the smart, hustler, businessman that he is, decided to go back to the basics and give the fans what they wanted. He utilized the same producers from Tana Talk 3, that's the Alchemist and Derringer. The only new addition here is some co-production from Beat Butcher, and I have to keep it a buck. I do not always love seeing the Beat Butcher's name attached to these Griselda projects, as I feel he can sometimes water down Derringer production, but fortunately that really wasn't the case with this album. But this project contains 12 tracks and lasts approximately 40 minutes, which I feel is an ideal runtime for an album. The features include J. Cole, Stove God Cooks, Bodie James, Puffy, Conway the Machine, 38 Special, and Westside Gunn. But with that being said, let me go ahead and just hit y'all with this track by track breakdown. This thing kicks off with the stellar single Johnny P's Caddy, which had been released at the end of January, and it contains a smooth, soulful instrumental from The Alchemist and a 5-mic verse from J. Cole, who has been body bagging his features for, I'd say, the last couple of years. And there are some people who consider J. Cole's verse to be the verse of the year so far, and I'm definitely not mad at that take. Now, I had listened to this song only a couple of times prior to the album because I didn't want to spoil or play it out, and I think that they wisely selected it to be the first song, and this record still sounds great. For track 2, Back 2X, Benny teams up with Stove God Cooks to do some sharp-witted coke talk over a Derringer and Beat Butcher production. The beat is gritty and standard Griselda. It's no frills, eerie piano boom bap. Benny sets it off with When I Quit, the guys I fed narcotics done got slim. My style mixed with Bodie James now and Tupac then. Don't compare me to no dude that's not in the top 10. Throughout this whole verse, Benny was lyrically crisp. While I feel Stove God came through with some clever NBA references, as he's been known to do, I feel Benny outshined him here. Track 3, Super Plug, has a nocturnal and ghostly beat from The Alchemist. The piano melody is haunting and reminiscent to some of his late 90s production, specifically that Soul Assassins and Mobb Deep era Alchemist. He even brought back his old producer tag, which is fire. And on this record, Benny offers up some vivid Doughboy reflections. He recalls riding dirty with his daughter in the whip and stashing work in his pop's couch. It's a highlight and another strong beat from The Alchemist. The following, Weekend in the Perrys featuring Bodie James, has an attractive sped up soul chop from Uncle Al with minimal drums. There are some added movie samples as well, especially from the Mac. Benny sets this off with an immaculate verse. His bars are crisp and his flow is nimble. And they refer to my shit like Malcolm X, words of knowledge. Cooking coke, burning product was only a learning process. Step on a brick of fentanyl before you heard about it. And my phone used to ring so much, you get nervous around me. Benny is on his Donald Goines and Mario Puzo tip, as he's so gifted at painting these pictures and giving the listener lines that they can really visualize. Now, as far as Bodie James' performance was concerned, it didn't do a whole lot for me, to be honest, and I had Benny as the clear MVP as a result. I'm not even trying to feed into the narrative about Bodie being a sleepy MC because he is a good rapper, but for me, he did bringing the energy down on this record. Then we get the highly talked about 10 More Commandments that pays homage to Biggie's Smithsonian 10 Crack Commandments song produced by the legendary DJ Premier. For this record, Benny provides the hustlers with 10 new rules or codes that they can apply to their business and their lifestyle during the wild social media era that we live in. For the production, we are getting a rugged and choppy piano loop. It's dirty and murky and probably the dirtiest beat that Puffy has ever spoken on, I'm thinking. Rule 19 states, don't ever burn the plug. And that's a no-brainer. It shouldn't even have to be addressed, right? Well, unfortunately, in the 2010s, it became popular for rappers to talk about running off on the plug, and I'm just glad Benny put that shit to rest. Benny has other important rules like feed your team, take care of those around you, you gotta feed the wolves. He also talks about the importance of stacking, and it's only cool being dressed in designer if your dollars match. So it's some smart, good, level-headed advice from the Butcher. Puffy closes this out with some thoughtful words, speaking on Black influence, Black wealth, and Black empowerment, and how we shouldn't repeat the same mistakes of the crack era. So there was more of a positive and mature spin on this version than Biggie's original. Now, as far as the production is concerned, it's solid, but not nearly as attractive of DJ Premier's, which shouldn't be a shock. Still, it's a worthy remake that fits into the Griselda mold, but I honestly would have preferred if Benny would have gotten Primo on the boards for this 2022 version. Things mellow out considerably for the following Tyson versus Ali featuring Conway. This is set to a velvety boom bap beat from Derringer that's very dreamlike and hypnotic. The production is cool, but subdued and not epic sounding like I had expected. You know, given the title, and going into this, I had envisioned the song to be a little more fiery, let's say like a Meth versus Chef. But rather, Benny and Conway are giving each other their flowers while also highlighting their own respective accolades. It was an okay track, but no fireworks. I definitely would consider this to be my least favorite, although I could appreciate the camaraderie and the genuine brotherhood that they both possess. The subsequent track, Uncle Bun featuring 38 Special, is a standout. This offers a tense and cinematic beat from Derringer. It's a menacing backdrop that's perfect for the ill back and forth that Benny and 38 do so flawlessly. It just reaffirms that we desperately need Shot and Stab 2. I thought 38 Special kept things interesting with his flow change-ups, and this track really displays the innate chemistry that they possess as a duo. And Benny gives us some raw and haunting imagery like, I sold dope to a fiend while she pregnant, emotionless. I'm not a caseworker, then that's not the reason I sold this shit. Who cared I wore hand-me-downs too big for my clothes to fit? Who cried for me when my relatives stole from me for a hit? And you can just feel the pain in those particular lines. Track 8, Thoey's Revenge, has a fantastic trap-like beat from The Alchemist. The trumpets go super hard, and I feel this track was an interesting and unexpected change in pace sonically. Benny utilizes the double time flow throughout. He's detailing his come up and giving us another hustler and perseverance anthem. I just really enjoyed the triumphant, get it out the mud feel to this record and the production, which easily makes it one of the highlights. Immediately after is Billy Joe, produced by The Alchemist, which stylistically resembles the darker and grim production found on Tana Talk 3. On this record, Benny does some autobiographic hustling reflections. He talks about serving his next door neighbor, his auntie, and his stepdad. He also comes to the realization that making choices foolishly, it took a Fed case and some more to get through to me. Also in 2022, he states that he feels like the 99 Hove. So as a whole, this song has all the ingredients that Griselda fans should love. Track 10 is Guerrero with Westside Gunn, and here we are getting a quirky, space age and futuristic beat from Derringer and Beat Butcher. Initially, it took me a couple listens to get, but now I do like it. Here, Benny cleverly works in song titles from Tana Talk 3 and Burden of Proof. The appearance from Westside Gunn was cool, but I did enjoy Benny's portion more, but altogether it was a dope track with a unique instrumental. The second and last song is Bust a Brick Nick, produced by The Alchemist, who supplies a atmospheric and surreal backdrop. That sounds very definitive Alchemist. I like the layered piano samples, which gave it a wavy and dreamlike quality. This one finds Benny giving us poignant reflections on his hustling past. He states, "Before a bullet wound, there was shit that permanently hurt me. In a wheelchair, it was hard to smile for my 36th birthday. Being honest, this could be karma I probably deserved in the first place." It shows his maturity and ability to self-reflect, because if you do dirt, it's gonna come back to you in due time. I also dug the following lines. "I'm like 95 kg, I'm with the wolves, and my little crypto investment was probably triple your necklace." It's just some super fly slick talk. Yeah, I consider Bust a Brick Nick to be another high point on the album. Then this project wraps up with Mr. Chow Hall, where Benny sets the record straight about some things on his mind. He talks more about the shooting in Houston and how the cops took 5 bands from him, and how the politicians in Buffalo tend to believe that he didn't get this rich just off rap. Benny also adds to Conway's lyrics from La Machina when he stated, "They say West is the brains and Benny is a star. Conway is the silliest with the bars." Well, I couldn't agree more. And I felt there was something about Benny's wordplay or vocal inflections here that reminded me a bit of Jay-Z, or maybe it was just how I would imagine Jay-Z would address something like this. But this was built around an Alchemist beat that was a nice blend between chilling and wavy. Altogether, it was a strong way to close out this album. Overall, I give this project a rating of a decent 4 mics, probably around a 4.2 or 4.3 for me at this particular time. It was a project that did meet my expectations. Benny stuck to the tried and true formula, and it produced good results. I would say that in some ways this album was similar to Tana Talk 3, but this time around he was rapping with more of a mature and established outlook and perspective. The production was a little smoother than the overly dark Tana Talk 3 as well. The only record that I really didn't care for here was Tyson vs. Ali. Now, obviously, Benny has seen some commercial success, but he didn't decide to go Hollywood or abandon the sound that he started with. He just kept it trill and stayed true to his roots while elevating and evolving his sound slightly. So I can definitely respect that. Even though Tana Talk 3 is regarded as an underground classic, I do think that this project offers a bit more sonic variety, which I prefer. Now, there might not be instrumentals that are innately as hard-hitting or as instantly recognizable as, let's say, 97 Hove or Rubber Bands and Weight, but I feel that Tana Talk 4 might play better front to back and might be sequenced a little bit better than Tana Talk 3. I want to be clear that I'm not saying Tana Talk 4 is a better album. Even though Conway shined bright with the introspection and personal narratives on his Shady debut, I do enjoy this Benny project a lot more. My favorite tracks include Johnny P's Caddy, Super Plug, 10 More Commandments, Uncle Bun, Thowie's Revenge, Guerrero, and Bust a Brick Nick. Let me know what you thought about this album in the comment section below. It's your boy Mixtape Moth. I'm signing out, but be sure to hit that like button and please subscribe. As always, it's peace and blessings. Benny the Butcher, Tana Talk 4, 1.